Self-myofascial release is a stretching technique that focuses on the nervous system and the fascia system in the body, which is a fibrous tissue that surrounds and separates muscle tissue. By applying gentle pressure to knot or tight muscle fibers with a foam roller, will release the underlying muscles tension. This gentle pressure, similar to a massage, breaks up the knots within the muscles and helps to release unwanted muscle tension. The important part to remember when foam rolling is to find the tender spot and hold the pressure on the spot for at least 30 seconds. This is how long it takes to get the signal to go to the brain and release the tension. It may take longer depending on if you can consciously relax. Foam rolling will help the body get back to its optimal level of functioning. Self-myofascial release is suggested before stretching because it breaks up the fascia adhesions or knots, which helps the tissue's ability to lengthen and relax. Use the foam roller before cardio if you're tight and also during cool down phase. Today I'm going to go over foam rolling for the whole body, but we'll start with the problem areas for most people, meaning these areas are where most problems start with tightness, which causes the body to be out of alignment and not perform properly. Fixing these areas of tightness will help prevent future injuries in the future. These main areas of focus are the calves, IT band, the glutes, the lats, and the adductors. Then we'll go over other areas such as the back, hamstrings, and the shins, which helps with shin splints. So that's it. Let's get at it. We're going to start first with the gastrocnemius, soleus, calf muscles. I always felt so important to stretch the calf muscles, and a lot of people neglect stretching them and they tend to get over tight. The problem is they are connected to the calf, the foot, the knee. It's all connected, and it does cause a problem, especially if you're trying to get into a full squat. It will prevent you from doing that when you have tight calves. You might have pain in your knees and maybe aches or tweaks in the hips or lower back. So you might find this strange, but a lot of times when you loosen the tight calf muscles, then the relationship between your ankle mobility and the health and function of your knees, hips, and back become better, and then you can perform those movements better without pain. And also remember, when you're foam rolling, you want to hold any trigger point for at least 30 seconds. Next is the IT band, which is a bunch of fibers that run down the outside of your hips to the outside of your thigh and knee and down to the top of your shin bone. So if your IT band gets too tight, it can lead to swelling and pain around your knee. So it's very important to stretch the IT band. I'm actually just kind of resting my upper leg on the foam roll, but most of the pressure is on my IT band. Take your time, make sure if you find a trigger point or it's painful, you're going to want to stop, hold that position for 30 seconds and release that trigger point. Make sure you get both sides, so switch over to the other side if you haven't switched yet. And you can kind of hold yourself up with your hands so there's not so much pressure also on the IT band, because it can be pretty painful if you've never done this before. So take your time and just relax and hold the pressure off if you need to. Next, we are going to foam roll the adductors, which are a series of muscles that assist in performing movements such as crossing one leg over the other or kicking a soccer ball. They are responsible for proper tracking of the knee, generating force with any type of athletic movement and balancing the pelvis during standing and walking. So if these muscles are tight or weak, normally body alignment can be affected, so leading to possible low back or knee pain or the groin, or strain in the groin. So you want to take your time and do these. It does help because this area does get very, very tight for a lot of people. Just make sure that if you find a trigger point, to just hold it for 30 seconds and relax, and you can take some of the tension off by bringing the back foot up on top of the foam roll like I'm doing here. If you need more tension, just put your foot over on the floor. To foam roll the piriformis, and it is a muscle that is a flat kind of band-like muscle that's located kind of in the butt area near the top of the hip joint. So it's really important in the lower body movement because it stabilizes the hip joints and lifts and rotates the thighs away from the body. So this muscle enables us to walk, shift our weight, from one foot to another and maintain balance. Also important to know that the sciatic nerve passes alongside or goes through the piriformis muscle and down at the back of the leg. So if you're having tingling or pain down your leg, it might be because the piriformis is tight around that sciatic nerve, and you'll need to stretch and foam roll for sure that piriformis out. Let's foam roll your Latissimus Dorsi. This is maybe more known as your lats. So you might see a bodybuilder that kind of spreads his lats apart when he flexes his back. That's where the lats are. And these can, when they're tight, restrict shoulder mobility. And it can also really hurt with your posture. So if you find that you're slumping or your arms cannot reach overhead, at a full range of motion, then you will need to definitely foam roll your lats. This tends to be a problem if you don't have any activity and you're not doing any type of movement or exercise, and as you age it gets worse and worse, and posture gets worse, and shoulder mobility is very, very limited. So this is a great muscle to stretch. Same thing, you're just going to lie sideways on the foam roller and lie across the lat, which is on the side rear of your back. And remember to just sit on any trigger points that you have and let that tension release for 30 seconds. I do like to foam roll my back, but you definitely need to check with your doctor if you have any back problems. You want to make sure that your doctor allows you to do this. But I like to foam roll my back. I don't have any back issues. It really relieves my tension in my upper back, my traps, and also my lower back. And I'll do like a full, just flat roll to kind of test where I'm feeling tight. And then I lean to the side and just hold those trigger points kind of where the tension is and where my tightness is. It's usually for me in my lower back, and that's why I'm kind of leaning more to the side. This is actually just more of a stretch for your upper back and also for chest and shoulders. I like to do this exercise and just let the arms hang off to the sides and feel that stretch and mobility in the upper chest and the shoulders. Again, make sure that you check with your doctor on this exercise and make sure that it's okay for you, especially if you have any back issues at all. Next, we're going to foam roll your hip flexor. So if you're very, very active and doing a lot of sports, then your hip flexors might be pretty tight, and this is a great way to release that tension in the hip flexors. So the hip flexors can be found connecting the top of the femur, which is the largest bone in the body, to the lower back, the hip, and the groin. So you want to make sure that you get that whole area. It will release a lot of tension, especially if you're very, very active. Remember to hold the trigger point for at least 30 seconds to release that tension. That's how long it takes for the signal to get to the brain to release the tension in the muscle. Next, we're doing hamstrings. I like to start just by sitting on the foam roller and then rolling down both of my hamstrings at the same time to feel the tension. Hold your hands in the back for support, and then you can cross your legs over if you need some more tension on the legs. If you don't, then just staying with them both straight on the foam roller is totally fine. But I need to have a little bit more soreness I want to work out, so I'm going to cross my legs over and lean over to the side, which will give it a little bit more tension. And then remember to stop and hold any trigger points for 30 seconds. And take your time. You can take as long as you would like on any part of your body. For our last foam roll exercise, we're going to do the shins. And the shins are such a great movement to do on the foam roll, especially if you've ever had shin splints, because you know how hard and difficult it is for shin splints to heal. It takes quite a bit of time. But if you foam roll on the roller, it will release that tension a lot quicker and you will heal a lot quicker. So when you do start, start on both of your shins, roll down both of them at the same time, feel the tension, feel what kind of pressure that you need, and then if you do need more pressure, you can sit to the sides like I am here and roll up and down on each side until you feel that tension release. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. The whole workout description will be below in the description. Remember to subscribe and give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video.